Alright, so Mickey 17 is a film that's worth at least a one-time watch. A disposable employee is sent on a human expedition to colonize the ice world of Niflheim. After one iteration dies, a new body is generated with most of his memories intact. So there are several ways, based off the trailer, how this film could go about, because it tries to introduce it as kind of a dark comedy. This person signs up to be an expendable. He's there to be expended. He gets printed out and trashed consistently. Like, they print him out, kill him, print him out, kill him, print him out, kill him, to test the environment. Turns out it starts off with Mickey 17 being left for dead by his friend who got him into the whole mess, Nemo. Or was his name Timo? Well, whatever it was. And the roly-poly-like creatures that you see in the trailer come and basically jump on top of Mickey 17. And then this film basically does a lot of narration, and I'm trying to figure out a way if it could have been done without narration, because the narration feels kind of annoying. I don't like Robert Pattinson's kind of droll, boring, uncaring voice. Like, it makes sense because he's given up on life, because he's just there to be killed over and over again, but it didn't really help for me to care about his character, because I was just like, I don't care what he has to tell me, because it's just so boring to hear him say it. You get someone who's actually interesting telling us all this information, and it becomes more interesting. But with Robert Pattinson playing the character, committing to being 17, the coward he is, the one who's just okay with everything going on around him, it just didn't feel interesting to me. It was just like, okay, we're getting another boring narration, which includes our backstory, which includes our flashback. So Robert Pattinson, his character, Mickey, was convinced to create some kind of food store by his friend Nemo, and they take out a massive loan from this massive loan shark. Turns out that their store completely fails, and the loan shark just loves seeing people killed in front of him, so they all venture off into the stars. Apparently Nemo is the type of person, he's like a cockroach, that type of person who can weasel his way into any situation. That's the personality he has, and they could have done a lot with that character, because I feel like they didn't utilize him as much as they should have. Because I liked his character. I like characters who basically can get in and out of any situation, while the main character is always left hanging. But they didn't do anything with his character. He's just there as kind of a comedic relief, where the best friend was able to become successful, become a pilot on the same ship, while Robert Pattinson could only sign up to be an expendable. And then they do a quick montage of all his deaths, which you saw all of them in the trailer. Every single one of them is in the trailer, which is why I liked it, but at the same time I didn't, because the trailer made me believe something different, but at the same time, it's the same thing. Because for me, after seeing the trailer 100 times, going to the movies, I was starting to think like, maybe they're all printouts. Maybe they're all expendables. They're just all on a different ship, going to a different part of a planet, different part of the same planet. I thought it was going to be that kind of twist ending, you're all useless, not real people. But the roly-polies end up saving Mickey 17's life. He ends up making his way back to the ship, and he collapses on the bed with Mickey 18. Mickey 18 was printed out as a mistake because they unplugged one of his memory chips because they were playing like a coin game or something, and he's more of a sociopath or a psychopath. So Mickey 18 is willing to do and use anger and do what Mickey 17, Mickey 16, Mickey 15, what all the other Mickeys weren't willing to do. And they introduced like this Natasha girl, the one that is his love interest. I don't care for her, but at the same time she's committed, so it's kind of like this weird dynamic that there is with her, because apparently Robert Pattinson, his Mickey, is beloved by all the women in the fleet. For some reason, they all want him, and in my mind, I'm just like, he's absolutely scrawny. He's got no meat on him. I mean like that, like, it looks like he's doing drugs every day, completely, throwing up after every meal, that type of look. He doesn't got muscle, he doesn't got fat, he's got nothing on him. That part didn't work for me. That part is just like, I can understand Natasha or Naomi or whatever her name was. I said it a second ago, but I've already forgotten. I could understand her perspective because they introduced that she's crazy, but the other ones made no sense to me. Why did they find him attractive other than the fact that it's Robert Pattinson? I mean, come on. Who doesn't like Edward, right? If I'm honest, it's actually Cedric Diggory I have the looks for. Cedric Diggory, that's what it is. I don't care about Edward as much as Cedric. But his love interest is primarily like a psychotic woman. She's overly possessive of him. She is willing to do anything for him, but at the same time, she wants him and all of him. Because when she finds out there's two of them, she's overly excited, and Mickey 17 is uncomfortable with the situation because he's, I guess, monogamous and wants her to himself, even though it is himself he's sharing her with. He doesn't want to share. And of course, the other girl who finds him interesting finds out, and they have this whole argument with each other, the two women, and Naomi or whatever, she basically goes absolutely nuts. Like, she is not willing to share even a single particle of him. Even though there are two of him, she's not willing to share a single thing. And it's like, I understand it, but it also felt uncomfortable because I would hate for there to be another version of me. I would never want that. I would want them to, you go off. You go off somewhere else. I'm not sharing nothing of mine with you. You go away. But it ends up where Mark Ruffalo's character, who's the villain of the story, ends up capturing, or he doesn't capture, he basically has one of the Robert Pattinsons capture one of the roly-poly creepers, and it turns out that the entire fleet is surrounded. The entire spaceship gets surrounded by them because they're gonna save a child. And they end up killing one of them as well, one that jumps on top of his head, jumps on top of Mark Ruffalo's head. And I gotta say, I wasn't a fan of Mark Ruffalo's portrayal of this character, because you can tell from the beginning he's portraying what he believes Donald Trump is. That is what he's portraying, and I'm just like, you're playing a failed politician who is hated by everyone, who's seen as a complete idiot, who ends up going off to the stars, taking his fans who are absolute morons who wear nothing but red hats with white text on them. It's just, you can't be so on the nose and not have people like, this we know what you're doing. And it just felt uncomfortable because every time he opened the mouth, it was just like, I don't like it. Because Mark Ruffalo's wife was honestly the one I thought was the true villain behind everything. She was like the one controlling him. I wish it would have been done more subtly, because anyone who sees it would know his character is a complete moron. There has to be a balance to it. Like, the figurehead presidents, the figurehead prime ministers, the figureheads, like, the ones who get elected into office because they can be controlled. Those I absolutely can understand. They're the ones who say the right things, do the right things, but behind closed doors, they're like spoken into, told what to say, how to say it. That's why it didn't work for me, because I'm like, our president right now speaks his mind. He absolutely speaks his mind. We know what he's thinking. And then we have this guy who doesn't know what he's thinking. Mark Ruffalo's portrayal is someone who doesn't know what he's thinking, doesn't know what he's saying. I would say the only thing that I found interesting about this film is the concept of, like, what makes you human, what makes you you, because Mickey 17 knew that he was different from Mickey 18, and his talks with his girlfriend were about how she was talking about how, 3 was too clingy, 6 was too whiny. It's just every single one was completely different from another. And you gotta say that, like, they're all individual human beings. They all might like the same person, they all might have somewhat the same interests, but they are all individuals. And it's like, that's a thought-provoking concept, which they could have done a lot with, but they didn't really go that far. They kept focusing on Mark Ruffalo in his stupidity instead of focusing on his friend Nemo, who basically is a cockroach who gets out of every situation, even till the very end. It's like a running joke, but we don't see enough of that friend for it to be funny. I would have enjoyed more of it. We only get one simple backstory as to why multiples are so feared, because one of the scientists who created the procedure and everything printed himself out several times, and he himself was a whack job who was a serial killer. And all his multiples enjoy doing the same exact thing as him. But that's really all I have to say about the film. I mean, there are things here which could have gone better. I mean, the thought-provoking aspect of what makes an individual an individual. You can't just copy and print them out over and over and over again. It just doesn't work that way because they're all unique in their own way. You have the friend who got him into this situation, who can somehow always get themselves out of almost everything. You could have them like off in the background. You have the crazy girlfriend who is so overly possessive, is not willing to share even the modicule of Mickey's time with anyone, no matter how many copies. They're all hers. They all belong to her. They could have done more with that. They kind of did it, but at the very end, you realize her psychotic nature. They don't show that throughout. They only show it at the very end, and it's like so abrupt that it's like, I don't like her. And then they show us everything else with the past Mickeys, and I'm like, oh, okay, this makes sense now. This makes sense now. This is why she's acting this way. I feel they should have had Mark Ruffalo tone it down a bit. I think that would have been a lot more enjoyable than him just being on screen as a complete moron. And every time he speaks, it's like ear-nerving. It's just like, what? What? And then he has all these moronic followers who don't understand anything, who are just following and listening to him, who obey his every word. So there are potentials in this film, which honestly would have made me enjoy it far more. It's just the fact that they don't capitalize on some of the things that make this great. The cockroach-like friend, the dynamic of individuality, the introduction of how psychotic his relationship is with her. There's so many little things that it's just, okay, it makes it feel like a one-time watch. Even though I did enjoy it, I'll never watch it again. I had my one-time watch. I know how this ends. I don't ever need to see it again. Thank y'all for watching. Talk to you next time. Toodles.
You guys got a video? It's so bad.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Wait, like that.